Today we're embarking on a journey to a windswept island in Scotland, a place steeped in myth and shrouded in mystery. We're heading to the island of Hoy in Orkney to uncover the secrets of one of Britain's most unusual and enigmatic ancient monuments, the Dwarfy Stane. Imagine a single, colossal block of red sandstone lying isolated in a starkly beautiful valley, carved out by human hands over 5,000 years ago. This isn't a structure built from many stones. It's a monolithic marvel, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of our Neolithic ancestors. The Dwarfy Stane is unique in northwestern Europe, a hollowed-out giant that has puzzled archaeologists and sparked the imagination of storytellers for centuries. What was its purpose? Who built it? And why? Join me as we step back in time and explore the legends and realities of this incredible stone. Getting to the Dwarfy Stane is an adventure in itself. First, you take a ferry to the island of Hoy, an island that feels wilder and more rugged than much of Orkney. Its name, Hoy, comes from the Old Norse word for high island, and as you approach, you'll see why. Dramatic cliffs and rolling hills dominate the landscape. From the ferry terminal, it's a drive or a good long walk through the breathtaking Rackwick Valley. This valley, carved by ancient glaciers, is a landscape of heather, peat and scattered crofts, leading you towards the coast. And there, nestled in this vast, open expanse, you'll find it. The Dwarfy Stane doesn't sit on a high peak or in a prominent position. It rests quietly in the glen, almost as if it's hiding a secret. As you get closer, its sheer scale becomes apparent. It's about 8.5 meters long, 4 meters wide, and stands up to 2.5 meters high. It's a huge, solid lump of Devonian old red sandstone that has weathered the storms of millennia. But the real magic happens when you crouch down to look at the entrance. On the west side, there's a small square opening, barely a meter high. This isn't a grand doorway, it's a humble, almost secretive portal. You have to get on your hands and knees to crawl inside. The moment you pass through that opening, you leave the modern world behind. You are inside a 5,000-year-old space. The air is cool and still. The interior is surprisingly complex. The initial short passage opens up into 2 small chambers, or cells, one on each side. The chamber on the right is the larger of the two, with a small opening in the roof, sometimes called a light hole or smoke hole. The chamber on the left is smaller and darker. Both have raised platforms, like stone beds or benches, carved directly from the rock. Lying inside these tiny rooms, you can't help but wonder about the people who carved them. They would have used nothing more than primitive tools, perhaps stone axes and antler picks, to painstakingly chip away at the hard sandstone. The effort would have been immense, a true labor of devotion. So, what was this incredible structure for? The most common theory is that it was a tomb, specifically a rock-cut chambered tomb. The layout, with an entrance passage and side cells, is similar to other Neolithic tombs found across Orkney, like Maes Show or the Tomb of the Eagles. But those are built from carefully placed stones, not carved from a single one. Lying near the entrance is a large rectangular stone block. Many believe this was the original door, a plug used to seal the tomb after a burial. The idea of being sealed inside this stone chamber is both fascinating and a little unnerving. It suggests a profound belief in the afterlife and a desire to create a permanent, impenetrable, final resting place for someone of great importance. However, the tomb theory isn't the only one. The name itself, the Dwarfy Stane, hints at a much more folkloric explanation. Local legends, recorded as far back as the 16th century, tell of a dwarf who lived inside the stone. His name was Trollid, or sometimes spelled Trold. He was said to be a solitary figure, a blacksmith who forged enchanted weapons and armor for the heroes of Norse sagas. Imagine this mythical craftsman hammering away inside his stone house, the sparks from his forge flying up through the hole in the roof. This story gives the stone a personality, a magical quality that archaeology alone can't capture. It's a perfect example of how folklore grows to explain the unexplainable, weaving a narrative around an ancient silent object. Over the centuries, the dwarfy stain has attracted countless visitors, and many have left their mark. The soft sandstone is covered in graffiti, a historical record in its own right. Some of it dates back hundreds of years. One of the most famous inscriptions is from a Major William Mountsie, a British spy and adventurer. In 1850, he spent a winter on Hoy, apparently trying to learn Persian. He carved his name in large Latin letters, and also an inscription in Persian that reads, "I have sat 2 nights and have seen the marvels of the world." His graffiti is almost as famous as the stone itself, a reminder that this place has been a source of wonder for generations. While we don't encourage adding new carvings today, these historical marks tell a story of human curiosity and the desire to connect with the past. Another intriguing aspect is its connection to other ancient sites in Orkney. The heart of Neolithic Orkney, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, includes Skara Brae, the Ring of Brodgar, and Maeshowe. While the dwarfy stain is geographically separate on Hoy, it belongs to the same era, the same culture. These people were not primitive. They were sophisticated astronomers, builders, and farmers. They created a landscape filled with ritual and meaning. Was the dwarfy stain an outpost for a hermit or a wise woman, connected to the larger ceremonial centers on the mainland? Or was it the tomb of a powerful clan chief whose family lived on Hoy? We can only speculate. What's truly profound about the dwarfy stain is the personal experience of visiting it. Standing alone in that quiet valley, with only the sound of the wind and the call of seabirds, you feel a direct link to the distant past. Crawling into the cold, dark interior forces a sense of intimacy with its creators. You can run your hands over the tool marks left 5,000 years ago and feel a tangible connection to the person who made them. It's a humbling and deeply moving experience that words can't fully capture. It reminds us that for all our modern technology, we share a fundamental human need to create, to remember, and to wonder about our place in the universe. The dwarfy stain remains an enigma. It's not a grand cathedral or a towering pyramid, but its quiet, solitary presence holds just as much power. It's a place of myth, history, and personal reflection. Is it a tomb? The home of a dwarf? A hermit cell? Perhaps it was all of these things at different times, or maybe its true purpose is something we haven't even considered. The beauty of the dwarfy stain is that it keeps its secrets, inviting each of us to come and wonder for ourselves. It's a powerful reminder that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but to be experienced. Imagine you're walking through a quiet village in northern Greece, the air thick with the scent of olive groves and ancient history. Suddenly, the ground beneath your feet gives way, not to a cave, but to a doorway into the past. This isn't a fantasy. It's exactly what happened in Agios Athanasios, a place that just became a new landmark on the map of world history. Today, we're journeying back in time to uncover a truly spectacular discovery, a massive tomb from the 4th century BC, a period when one of history's most legendary figures, Alexander the Great, was conquering the known world. This isn't just any old tomb. Archaeologists, while excavating the area, stumbled upon something extraordinary. As they carefully brushed away centuries of earth, a magnificent structure emerged. The tomb's sheer size was the first clue that this was the final resting place of someone incredibly important. We're talking about a monumental chamber, built to last for eternity, hidden just below the surface for over 2 millennia. The excitement among the archaeological team must have been electric. Every scoop of dirt held the promise of revealing secrets from a golden age of Greek civilization. Who was buried here? What stories did their life hold? The answers were waiting, painted on the very walls of the tomb itself. As the facade was fully revealed, it became clear this was a treasure trove of art and history. The entrance is adorned with breathtaking murals, a vibrant window into the world of ancient Macedonia. This isn't just decoration, it's a narrative frozen in time. The colors, though faded, still tell a powerful story. You can almost hear the echoes of the past. The artists who created these masterpieces were masters of their craft, capturing moments of life with incredible detail and emotion. These paintings offer a rare, direct glimpse into the society that produced Alexander the Great, a society of warriors, scholars, and aristocrats. It's like finding a photo album from 2,400 years ago, and we're about to turn the first page. Let's look closer at the upper section of the mural. What we see here is a lavish banquet scene. But these aren't just any partygoers. These are young men, known as the royal pages. In ancient Macedonia, this was an elite institution, a prestigious royal school. The sons of the Macedonian nobility were sent here to be educated, not just in philosophy and literature, but also in the arts of war and diplomacy, right under the watchful eye of the king himself. Imagine a young Alexander the Great learning alongside these very same pages, forging bonds that would later be tested on the battlefields of Persia. This mural depicts them in a moment of leisure, reclining on couches, attended by servants, a scene of privilege and power. It hints that the person buried within was deeply connected to the heart of the Macedonian court. Perhaps a tutor, a patron, or even one of the pages who rose to great prominence. Now let's cast our eyes to the lower part of the facade. The scene shifts dramatically from aristocratic leisure to military might. Here we see Macedonian soldiers depicted with stunning realism. They are shown arriving, perhaps returning from a campaign or assembling for a new one. Look at their equipment, the distinctive helmets, the spears, the shields. These are the very soldiers who formed the unstoppable Macedonian phalanx, the military machine that carved out one of the largest empires the world has ever known. These are the men who served under Alexander the Great. Their determined expressions and disciplined posture tell a story of loyalty, endurance, and conquest. Seeing them depicted here so vividly is like looking into the faces of the men who marched from Greece to India, changing the course of history with every step. So, what does this all mean? The combination of these two scenes, the intellectual and political elite at the top and the military power at the bottom, is incredibly significant. It paints a complete picture of Macedonian society's two pillars, the court and the army. The person interred in this magnificent tomb was clearly a high-ranking individual who moved within both of these circles. Were they a general who was also a close confidant of the king? Or a nobleman whose sons were educated as pages while he commanded troops in the field? The tomb doesn't give up its secrets easily, but the clues are tantalizing. This discovery forces us to rethink what we know about the Macedonian aristocracy and their lives during this pivotal period. It's a puzzle, and each piece we uncover, like this tomb, adds more depth and color to the picture. The discovery at Agios Athanasios is more than just a local find. It has global importance. It provides a direct, tangible link to the age of Alexander the Great. While we have historical texts from writers like Arrian and Plutarch, they were often written centuries after the events they describe. This tomb, however, is a primary source. It's an artifact from the actual time period, created by the people who lived it. The artistic style, the subjects depicted, the very construction of the tomb itself, all of this provides invaluable data for historians and archaeologists. It helps us verify written accounts, fill in gaps in our knowledge, and understand the culture of ancient Macedonia not just through words, but through the art they cherished and the way they honored their dead. The meticulous work of preserving these murals is now underway. Exposing something this ancient to the air is a delicate process. Experts are working around the clock to ensure that these vibrant paintings don't degrade, so that future generations can also witness this incredible piece of history. Their work is a race against time, using modern technology to protect an ancient treasure. Every detail, from the pigment used in the paint to the style of the brushstrokes, is being analyzed. This scientific analysis will likely reveal even more about the trade networks of the time, the artistic influences, and the specific workshop or artist who created these scenes. It's a painstaking process, but essential for safeguarding this legacy. This tomb is a powerful reminder that history is not just something we read about in books. It's a living, breathing story that is still being uncovered, often in the most unexpected places. It's buried beneath our feet, waiting for the right moment to reveal its secrets. The people of Agios Athanasios are now guardians of a world-class historical site, a direct portal to the time of heroes and legends. For all of us who are fascinated by the ancient world, this discovery is a gift. It sparks our imagination and fuels our desire to know more about those who came before us. It's a testament to the enduring legacy of a civilization that shaped the world we live in today. The story of this tomb is just beginning to be told, and we will be watching, eagerly awaiting the next chapter. Imagine tucking into bed for the last time, forever. It sounds a bit morbid, but for some people in early medieval Europe, this was their reality. They were buried in beds, a fascinating and somewhat mysterious practice that has puzzled archaeologists for decades. Today we're pulling back the covers on this ancient tradition, revealing a story far more complex and diverse than anyone previously thought. For a long time, historians and archaeologists lumped all bed burials together. They saw them as a single, uniform tradition. But a groundbreaking new study, led by Dr. Astrid Noterman and published in the European Journal of Archaeology, is completely changing our understanding. It turns out, from the 6th to the early 10th century, people across Germany, England, and Scandinavia were all practicing bed burials, but they were doing it in very different ways. So what exactly is a bed burial? At its most basic, it's exactly what it sounds like. A person is laid to rest on a bed, which is then placed in a grave. These weren't just simple wooden planks either. We're talking about specially crafted pieces of furniture, sometimes incredibly ornate, made from wood and metal. Imagine a four-poster bed, but instead of being in a cozy bedroom, it's 6 feet under. The sheer variety is stunning. Some graves contain just the metal fittings, the brackets and nails, the wood having rotted away centuries ago. Others have preserved wood, giving us a clearer picture of the bed's structure. The new research looked at a huge database of these burials, comparing and contrasting them across different regions. And what they found was that bed burial wasn't one tradition, but many. Each community adapted the concept to fit its own beliefs, social structures, and local customs. It was like a cultural meme that spread across Europe, with each group adding its own unique twist. Let's travel to 6th century southern Germany, in the Alemannic region. Here, bed burials were almost exclusively for women. These graves were often richly furnished, not just with the bed itself, but with jewelry, weapons, and other valuable items. The bed seems to have been a symbol of high status, a way for a family to display its wealth and importance. It was a statement piece, even in death. The women buried in these beds were likely powerful figures in their communities, matriarchs, priestesses, or noblewomen whose influence was being celebrated and cemented through this elaborate ritual. Now, let's hop across the channel to 7th century England. Here the story is similar in some ways, but with a distinct Anglo-Saxon flavor. Again, it's primarily women who are given bed burials. One of the most famous examples is the Trumpington bed burial, discovered near Cambridge. A young woman, around 16 years old, was laid on a wooden bed with a beautiful and very rare gold and garnet cross placed on her chest. This find was incredible because it blended a pre-Christian burial practice, the bed, with a symbol of the new, incoming Christian faith. It represents a fascinating moment of transition, a culture caught between old ways and new beliefs. The bed here wasn't just about status, it was part of a complex identity statement, weaving together social rank, personal faith, and cultural heritage. But then we moved to Scandinavia during the Viking Age, from the 8th to the 10th century, and things get really interesting. Here, the gender dynamic flips. In places like Norway and Sweden, it was both men and women who were buried in beds. In some Viking boat burials, the deceased was placed on a bed inside the vessel, surrounded by everything they might need for the journey to the afterlife: tools, weapons, and even sacrificed animals. The bed in this context seems to be more about the journey itself. It's not just a status symbol, it's a piece of essential equipment for the voyage to the other world. It represents a place of rest and comfort on a long, uncertain trip. The bed, transformed from a domestic object into a vital part of the symbolic ship sailing into eternity. So, what does this all mean? Dr. Noterman's study argues that we need to stop thinking about bed burials as a single phenomenon. Instead, we should see them as a cultural package that people could pick and choose from. The basic idea, burying someone in a bed, was the starting point. But what the bed symbolized, who was buried in it, and what objects accompanied them varied dramatically. In Germany, it was about displaying status in this world. In England, it was about navigating a changing religious landscape. And in Scandinavia, it was about preparing for the next world. The why is the most captivating question. Why a bed? On one level, it's a powerful symbol of the home. Placing a loved one in a bed for their final rest could be a deeply personal and comforting act, a way of tucking them in one last time. It domesticates death, making the grave a final bedroom rather than just a cold hole in the ground. It suggests a belief that the deceased isn't truly gone, but is simply sleeping or resting. This idea of death as a long sleep is a common metaphor across many cultures, and the bed burial makes that metaphor tangible and real. Furthermore, the bed was a significant piece of furniture. In an era when many people might have slept on simple straw pallets, a crafted bedstead was a luxury item, a clear indicator of wealth. So for the living, a bed burial was a performance. It was a way to communicate their family's power and social standing to the entire community. It said, "We are important enough to afford this extravagance, even in death." But the mystery isn't entirely solved. There are still many unanswered questions. For instance, in some areas, only a handful of these burials have ever been found. Why was the practice so rare in some places and more common in others? Was it reserved for a very specific lineage or social role that we haven't identified yet? And how exactly did this idea spread across such vast distances in a time before mass communication? Did traveling merchants, migrating tribes, or marrying nobles carry the tradition with them? This new research opens up so many exciting avenues for future study. By looking at these burials, not as isolated finds, but as part of a larger interconnected European network, we can start to piece together a much richer and more nuanced picture of the early medieval world. It shows us a world that was surprisingly connected, where ideas and rituals could travel hundreds of miles, transforming and adapting along the way. The story of the medieval bed burial is a perfect example of how archaeology is always evolving. It's a reminder that history isn't set in stone. With each new discovery and each new analysis, our understanding deepens and the past becomes more vivid, more complex, and more human. These weren't just skeletons in the ground. They were people with beliefs, families, and complex social lives. And through the objects they left behind, like these incredible beds, we can still hear their stories today. Imagine this. Construction workers are doing routine road work, digging up the ground as they've done 1,000 times before. But this time, their shovels hit something hard. Not just rocks or old pipes, but dozens of metal objects caked in earth that would soon reveal a direct link to one of the most tumultuous periods in human history. This isn't a movie plot. This happened just a few months ago in the beautiful city of Wrocław in southern Poland. Over 50 military helmets, relics from both World War I and World War II, were unearthed, telling a silent story that has lain dormant for decades, right beneath the feet of unsuspecting pedestrians. The location of this discovery is what makes it even more fascinating. The helmets were found on Kozarova Street, which, if you look it up, translates to Barracks Street. The name itself is a clue. This area has a deep military history, but the most mind-blowing part? This treasure trove of military history was found just a few meters, literally a stone's throw away, from the Institute of Archaeology at the University of Wrocław. It's almost poetic, isn't it? Generations of archaeologists and historians have walked this very street, studying the past, completely unaware that a significant piece of it was buried right under the pavement. It's a powerful reminder that history is not just in museums or textbooks. It's all around us, sometimes just inches beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. This proximity to the university means that the very experts needed to study these artifacts were right there, ready to leap into action. So what exactly did they find? The collection is incredibly diverse. We're not talking about just one type of helmet. This is a cross-section of military headgear from two of the world's most defining conflicts. Among the cache are German M1916 and M1918 Stahlhelms, those iconic, almost menacing-looking helmets from World War I. You can almost picture the soldiers who wore them in the trenches of the Western Front. Alongside them were Adrian helmets, the French design used by many Allied nations, including Poland's own Blue Army. The Adrian helmet, with its distinctive crest, was the first modern steel helmet for the French army and became a symbol of their resilience. But the story doesn't end with the Great War. The cache also includes helmets from World War II, showing the evolution of military technology and the changing face of warfare. There are German M35, M40 and M42 helmets, the successors to the Stahlhelm, which became emblematic of the German Wehrmacht. Finding these alongside their World War I predecessors in the same spot is like a physical timeline of German military history. What's more, there are also Soviet SSH-40 helmets, the classic round-topped helmet worn by millions of Red Army soldiers. The presence of both German and Soviet helmets in a Polish city speaks volumes about the complex and often brutal history of Poland during the 20th century, caught between two powerful and opposing forces. This mix of nationalities and eras in one single find is what makes it so archaeologically significant. It's not just a collection of old hats, it's a snapshot of a geopolitical crossroads. This raises the million-dollar question: why were they all buried here? Who put them there, and for what reason? Archaeologists are currently piecing together the puzzle, but there are a few leading theories. The area of Wrocław, historically known as Breslau, was a German city for centuries until it became part of Poland after World War II. It was the site of the brutal siege of Breslau in the final months of the war, one of the last major battles on the Eastern Front. One theory is that this collection might have been part of a hasty disposal. Perhaps they were collected from a battlefield, a hospital, or a barracks by German forces and buried to prevent them from falling into the hands of the advancing Soviet army. Or maybe they were gathered by Soviet soldiers after the city's capture. Another compelling possibility is that this was a private collection. After the war, with so much military surplus and debris around, It wasn't uncommon for individuals to collect items as souvenirs or for other purposes. Perhaps a local resident with a passion for military history gathered these helmets over time, and for reasons we may never know, fear of being discovered by the new communist authorities or simply moving away, decided to bury their collection for safekeeping. The fact that the helmets are from different armies and different wars supports this idea. A military unit would likely have more uniform equipment. A collector, on the other hand, would seek out variety. The condition of the helmets, many of which are remarkably well preserved despite being in the ground for so long, might also offer clues. Let's talk about the helmets themselves, because each one is an artifact with a story. Imagine holding an M1916 Stahlhelm. You can feel the weight of it, the solid German engineering. This design was revolutionary at the time, offering far superior protection against shrapnel and bullets compared to the cloth caps and leather helmets used at the start of World War I. It drastically reduced head wound fatalities. When you see one, you're looking at a piece of technology that changed the experience of the common soldier. Then you have the French Adrian helmet. It was lighter than the Stahlhelm, but less protective. Its multi-piece construction with the attached crest was meant to deflect shrapnel. For a Polish historian, finding an Adrian helmet is especially poignant as it was worn by the Haller's Army or the Blue Army, a force of Polish volunteers who fought with the Allies in France and played a crucial role in Poland's fight for independence after World War I. Moving to the World War II items, the German M35 and its later variants represent an optimization of the World War I design. They were stamped from a single piece of steel, making them easier to mass produce. They became a terrifying symbol of the Nazi war machine. Finding them in Wrocław connects directly to the siege of Breslau, where German forces, including civilians conscripted into the Volkssturm militia, fought a desperate house-to-house battle against the Red Army. These helmets were worn during that final apocalyptic struggle for the city. And the Soviet SSH-40, it's simple, practical, and effective. It was the helmet worn by the soldiers who liberated, or from another perspective, occupied, the city. The presence of these opposing helmets in the same pit is a silent testament to the moment one regime fell and another took its place. The ground on Kosarova Street literally became the meeting point of these clashing empires. The conservation process for these artifacts is painstaking. When they were first pulled from the ground, they were covered in dirt and corrosion. The team at the University of Wrocław is now carefully cleaning and stabilizing each one. This isn't just a matter of scrubbing them clean. They use specialized techniques to remove the dirt without damaging the original paint, decals, or any potential markings that might still be visible. Sometimes, if they're lucky, they might find a name, a unit number, or even a bullet hole that tells a very personal story about the soldier who wore it. Every layer of rust removed is like turning a page in a history book. The goal is to preserve them not just as objects, but as witnesses to history, so that future generations can learn from them. This discovery also highlights the importance of what's known as rescue archaeology. This isn't a planned excavation where archaeologists spend years researching a site. This happens when history is accidentally uncovered by construction, roadwork, or farming. It's a race against time to document and save whatever has been found before it's destroyed. In this case, the construction workers did the right thing. They stopped work and called the experts. Because of their quick thinking, we now have this incredible collection. It's a fantastic example of public and scientific communities working together. It reminds us all to keep our eyes open, because you never know what history lies just beneath our modern world. So, what happens next for these 50 silent soldiers? After the conservation work is complete, they will be thoroughly studied. Researchers will analyze the manufacturing marks, the paint schemes, and any surviving liners or chin straps. They will compare them to known examples in museums and private collections to build a more complete picture of their origin and history. The hope is that this analysis will help confirm one of the theories about why they were buried, or perhaps reveal a completely new and unexpected story. Eventually, these helmets will almost certainly go on public display, likely in a museum in Roswell. There, they will serve as a powerful educational tool, a tangible link to the city's complex past. Visitors will be able to look at these very helmets and reflect on the lives of the young men who wore them, on the conflicts that shaped our world, and on the incredible resilience of the human spirit. For the city of Wrocław, this isn't just an archaeological find, it's part of its identity. The city has a rich, layered, and often painful history, having been German, Polish, and part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire at various times. Discoveries like this don't rewrite history, but they add texture and detail to it. They bring the abstract dates and names from textbooks to life. They force us to confront the reality of war, not as a distant event, but as something that happened right here, on this street. It's a powerful connection to the past that you can get from a book or a film. These helmets are messengers from a lost time, and thanks to a bit of luck and some diligent construction workers, we now have the privilege of hearing their story. Imagine this. Construction workers are going about their day, dredging a riverbed when they pull up a clump of clay. But nestled inside isn't just mud and rock. It's a treasure from a forgotten age, a nearly 1,000-year-old medieval sword. This isn't just any old blade. It's a window into the past that has historians and archaeologists buzzing with excitement. This incredible discovery happened on March 1st, 2024, in the Korte Linschoten River, near the quaint town of Montfort, in the Dutch province of Utrecht. The sword, now rightfully named the Linschoten sword, has been carefully dated to a fascinating period between 1050 and 1150 CE. This was a time of immense change in the Netherlands. The powerful bishopric of Utrecht was the dominant force, but new political players, like the counties of Holland and Flanders, were beginning to rise, shaping the future of the region. Castles were being built, territories were being defined, and in the middle of all this, someone lost or deposited this very sword in the river. Now, finding a medieval sword is rare enough, but what makes the Linschoten sword truly exceptional is its breathtaking decoration. This wasn't just a weapon for hacking and slashing. Etched into both sides of the blade are incredibly delicate inlays, crafted from copper alloy wire. These aren't just random squiggles, they are powerful spiritual symbols that tell a story of faith, power, and perhaps even magic. The level of craftsmanship is just mind-blowing for the time. We're talking about fine wires carefully hammered into grooves, cut into the steel blade, creating intricate patterns that have survived a millennium underwater. Let's take a closer look at these symbols, because this is where the story gets really fascinating. On one side of the blade, we find a symbol that's immediately recognizable to many, the cross. Specifically, it's depicted as a cross within a circle. This emblem was widely used in the Byzantine Empire and by Crusaders. Its presence here strongly links the sword to Christian symbolism of the High Middle Ages. It represents faith, divine protection, and the authority of the Church, which, as we mentioned, was a huge power in the region through the bishopric of Utrecht. This symbol wasn't just for show, it was meant to invoke divine power, to protect the wielder, and to declare his allegiance to the Christian faith in a very public and permanent way. But when we flip the sword over, we find something even more mysterious and rare. The other side is adorned with a pattern of winding S-shaped lines, often described as a wickerwork or braided pattern. This design is far less common than the cross, and its meaning is much more debated among experts. Some scholars suggest it could be a stylized representation of a river or flowing water, which would be fitting given where it was found. It might symbolize life, nature, or the constant flow of time. Others believe it could have pre-Christian or pagan origins, a remnant of older beliefs that lingered even after the region converted to Christianity. This duality is what makes the sword so unique. It's a physical manifestation of a world where old and new belief systems coexisted and intertwined. One side for the new Christian order, the other perhaps a nod to the ancient, mystical traditions of the land. So, who would have owned such a magnificent and symbolic object? This was no ordinary soldier's weapon. The sheer quality of the blade, combined with the elaborate and costly inlays, points to a high-status individual. We're likely talking about a nobleman, a knight of significant rank, or perhaps even a high-ranking cleric associated with the Bishop of Utrecht. During this period, a sword was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of one's identity, social standing, and authority. Owning a sword like this was like driving a luxury sports car today. It made a very clear statement about who you were and the power you wielded. The combination of Christian and possibly older symbols might suggest the owner was navigating a complex world, wanting to display his Christian piety while perhaps also holding on to traditions that connected him to his ancestors and the land itself. Another intriguing question is, how did it end up in the river? Was it lost in the heat of a battle? Did its owner fall from a boat, the sword sinking with him to the riverbed? While possible, many archaeologists believe it might have been placed there intentionally. Rivers were often seen as sacred places in the medieval world, liminal spaces between the earthly and the supernatural. Leaving a valuable object like this sword in the water could have been a ritual offering, a votive deposit. Perhaps it was an offering to God for a victory in battle, a prayer for a good harvest, or a way to commemorate a significant event. It could also have been a burial ritual, with the sword being buried in the water to accompany its owner into the afterlife. The exact reason is lost to time, but the act itself speaks volumes about the importance of this object. To part with something so valuable means the reason for doing so must have been incredibly powerful. The discovery process itself is part of the magic of this story. For 1,000 years, the Linschoten sword lay hidden, preserved in the low-oxygen environment of the river's clay. It was a ticking time bomb of history, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. When the construction workers first saw it, it was just a strange shape emerging from a clod of earth. It's a testament to their attentiveness that they recognized it for what it was and immediately contacted the authorities. From there, it was handed over to experts who began the delicate process of conservation and study. Each layer of sediment removed revealed more of its secrets, from the shine of the copper inlays to the faint traces of the smith's hammer on the steel. It's a painstaking process, but it's what allows us to piece together the sword's incredible journey through time. Now, the sword is in the care of the National Museum of Antiquities in the Netherlands. Its discovery is significant, not just for its beauty, but for what it adds to our understanding of the 11th and 12th centuries in this part of Europe. It provides tangible evidence of the complex interplay between religion, social status, and ancient traditions. It challenges us to think about the people of the past not as one-dimensional figures from a history book, but as complex individuals who lived in a world rich with symbolism and belief. The Linschoten sword is a personal object that has become a public treasure, connecting us directly to a knight or nobleman who lived, fought, and prayed a millennium ago. What do you think? Who do you believe owned this sword, and how did it end up in the river? Was it a Crusader knight, a local lord, or something else entirely? Let me know your theories down in the comments below. It's finds like these that remind us that history is not just in books. It's lying all around us, waiting to be discovered, sometimes in the most unexpected of places, like the bottom of a river. Ever wondered what secrets are hiding in your pocket change? Well, probably not secrets this old. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of early medieval money, specifically from a period between 660 and 750 AD. We're talking about coins minted in places we now know as England, the Netherlands, and parts of France. These aren't just old pieces of metal, they're tiny time capsules. And recent discoveries have completely rewritten a chapter of European history. So, picture this: northwestern Europe, over 1300 years ago. The Roman Empire has long since faded, and new kingdoms are rising. This era has often been painted as somewhat isolated, a dark age where long-distance trade shriveled up. But these little silver coins, known as sciatas, tell a completely different story. For years, historians and archaeologists wondered, where did the silver for these coins come from? There weren't any major silver mines operating in this part of Europe at the time. The puzzle was a real head-scratcher. The prevailing theory was that the silver was probably melted down from old church silver, chalices, plates, and other religious artifacts left over from the Roman era or gifted by powerful families. It made sense, right? You use what you have. But science has a way of revealing secrets that even history books can't. A team of brilliant researchers from Cambridge, Oxford, and Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam decided to put these coins to the test. They used a cutting-edge technique called non-destructive portable laser ablation. That sounds complicated, but think of it like this. They used a laser to vaporize a microscopic invisible particle from the coin's surface. This tiny sample was then analyzed to determine its exact chemical makeup, specifically its lead isotopes. Why lead isotopes? Because they act like a geological fingerprint, a unique signature that can trace the silver back to its original mine. It's like a 23andMe for ancient metals. The team analyzed 49 of these sciatas, and the results were, frankly, stunning. They compared the isotopic fingerprint of the coins to known silver sources from across Europe and the Mediterranean. The old theory about church silver? It didn't hold up. The chemical signature just didn't match the silver known to be used in Roman Britain. The silver wasn't local at all. So where did it come from? The analysis pointed overwhelmingly in one direction: the Byzantine Empire. That's right, the silver used to make coins in England and France came from over 2,500 miles away, from the mines of the Eastern Mediterranean. Specifically, the chemical signature matched that of silver from the Aegean region, which was part of the Byzantine Empire during the 3rd to 7th centuries. This changes everything. It means that even after the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, a vibrant and significant trade route was not only open but thriving between northwestern Europe and the Byzantine Empire. This wasn't just a trickle of luxury goods. We're talking about a substantial flow of raw materials, in this case, massive amounts of silver. The researchers believe the silver likely came from melting down old Byzantine plates, vessels, and other silver objects. During the 7th century, the Byzantine Empire was facing its own challenges, including conflicts with the Sasanian Empire and the rise of the Islamic Caliphate. These pressures likely led them to pay their northern trading partners, like the Franks and Anglo-Saxons, with silver bullion and objects rather than their own currency. This flow of silver seems to have kicked off a new monetary boom in the north. The influx of high-quality Byzantine silver provided the raw material needed for these new kingdoms to mint their own coins for the very first time. It fueled local economies, enabled merchants to trade more easily, and helped kings and rulers consolidate their power. It was the start of a new economic era, all thanks to recycled Byzantine treasure. But the story doesn't end there. The study also revealed a second fascinating chapter: Around the year 750, the chemical signature of the silver suddenly changes. The Byzantine fingerprint disappears and a new one emerges. This new silver came from a mine much closer to home, in Mel, part of the Frankish kingdom in modern-day France. What happened? Around this time, the powerful Frankish king, Charlemagne's father, took control of this major silver mine. This discovery gave the Franks a massive economic advantage. They no longer had to rely on long-distance trade for their silver. They could mine it themselves. This shift is reflected almost immediately in the coinage across the region. The new Frankish silver became the dominant source, and it led to the creation of a new, standardized coin, the denier or penny. This change had huge political implications. By controlling the silver supply, the Carolingian dynasty could control the economy. They replaced the diverse scatters with their own standardized currency, which spread across Europe. It was a monetary reform that unified their vast empire and laid the economic groundwork for the next 300 years. The age of recycled Byzantine silver was over, and the age of Frankish silver had begun. So, these tiny coins are more than just money. They are evidence of a complex, interconnected world. They show us that the Dark Ages were anything but. They were a time of dynamic change, long-distance trade, and shifting political powers. The flow of silver from the east kick-started a new economy in the west, and the discovery of a new silver source helped build one of the most powerful empires in European history. It's a powerful reminder that history is constantly being updated and revised by new scientific discoveries. What we think we know today might be completely different tomorrow, all thanks to the stories hidden within objects we might otherwise overlook. The next time you see an old coin in a museum, remember the incredible journey it might have taken and the secrets it might still hold. Imagine you're walking along the ancient walls of a 19th century fortress, the kind of place steeped in history, where every stone tells a story. Now, what if I told you that embedded within these very walls, a completely different kind of history was waiting to be discovered? Not another cannonball or a soldier's forgotten trinket, but something so out of place it would baffle historians and railway enthusiasts for years. This is the incredible story of a lost piece of British railway history, found in the most unexpected of places, Antwerp, Belgium. What the demolition crew found wasn't part of the original fortress. It was a wooden railway wagon, a relic from a bygone era of steam and steel. As they carefully extracted it from the rubble, they knew they had stumbled upon something special. But just how special, no one could have guessed. The wagon was British, a ghost from across the Channel, and it was about to rewrite a small but fascinating chapter of railway history. This wasn't just any old wagon. Initial investigations pointed to it being an English creation dating back roughly 100 years. Think about that, the 1920s and 30s, the golden age of steam travel. A time when companies like the London and North Eastern Railway, or ELNA, were the titans of the tracks, their iconic apple-green locomotives thundering across the British countryside. This wagon, it turned out, was one of theirs. But how did it get here? How does a humble wooden wagon, built to haul goods across England, end up sealed within a fortress wall in Belgium? The mystery deepened. Researchers, history buffs, and railway experts all started digging. They scoured old records, shipping manifests, and company archives, trying to piece together the journey of this silent, wooden traveler. The wagon itself held clues: the faded paint, the specific construction techniques, the type of wood used. It was all a puzzle. Experts identified it as a very early model, perhaps even a prototype. This was the first of its kind, a design that would have been tested and refined before going into mass production. This made the discovery even more significant. It wasn't just a wagon, it was a blueprint, a physical testament to the innovation and engineering of its time. Records eventually revealed that this specific model had a very short service life with the Elna around 1930. This was a crucial piece of the puzzle. Why was it used so briefly? Was it a failed design? Was it part of a special short-term contract? The short operational window explained why so few records of it existed, making this physical survivor an invaluable artifact. It's like finding a limited edition, a rare print that everyone thought was lost to time. The leading theory now revolves around the bustling port of Antwerp and its historic connection with Britain. In the early 20th century, goods were constantly being shipped between the two countries. It's plausible that this wagon was part of a shipment, perhaps carrying goods for the British Army or for civilian trade. Maybe it was sent to Belgium for a specific purpose, a trial run on continental European tracks. Then, for reasons we can only speculate on, it was decommissioned. Perhaps it was damaged during transit, or maybe its specific design wasn't compatible with the local railway infrastructure. Instead of being scrapped or shipped back to England, it found a new, bizarre purpose. Sometime after its arrival, during fortification repairs or new construction, the wagon was simply used as filler. It was pushed into a gap in the fortress wall and entombed, a time capsule waiting for a future generation to find it. It's a strange fate for a vehicle designed for motion to be rendered completely static, hidden from the world for the better part of a century. The fortress walls that were meant to keep people out ended up preserving a piece of history within. For decades, people walked past this section of the wall, completely unaware of the secret it held. The discovery has sent ripples through the heritage railway community. For them, it's like finding a long-lost relative. Museums and preservation societies in both the UK and Belgium have expressed immense interest. The question now is, what happens to the wagon? The process of restoring it will be delicate and painstaking. 100 years of being exposed to the elements, even within a wall, has taken its toll on the wood. Conservators will have to carefully treat the timber to prevent it from decaying now that it's exposed to the air again. Every nail, every plank, every faded letter of its original markings will be studied. The goal isn't just to make it look new, but to preserve its story, its journey, and its century-long slumber. It's a process of archaeological conservation, but for an industrial artifact. This wagon connects so many different threads of history. It links British industrial innovation with Belgian military architecture. It tells a story of trade, of transport, and of the forgotten objects that get left behind in the great tides of progress. It's a physical reminder that history is not just in the grand monuments and famous battles, but also in the everyday objects that served us, even if only for a short time. The fortress in Antwerp, built to withstand sieges, inadvertently became the perfect guardian for this humble wooden wagon. It protected it from wars, from weather, and from being scrapped. Now, thanks to a demolition crew, its story can finally be told. It's a tale that reminds us to look closer, because history is everywhere, sometimes in the most astonishing and unexpected places. Who knows what other secrets are waiting to be found, hidden in plain sight? Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're journeying back in time to the beautiful island of Sardinia, Italy, a place steeped in ancient mysteries. Imagine wandering through its rugged landscapes and stumbling upon something straight out of a fairy tale. Well, for a team of archaeologists, that fantasy just became a reality. They've unearthed 3 previously unknown domus de Janas, which translates to fairy houses. These aren't homes for tiny winged creatures, but something far more profound and fascinating. So, what exactly are these fairy houses? They are incredible rock-cut tombs, carved by people who lived here thousands of years ago during the Neolithic period. This latest discovery was made at the famous Sant'Andrea Priu archaeological site in Bonova, a location already renowned for its prehistoric wonders. These new tombs, now officially named Tombs Indi 8, 19 and 20, have increased the total count of these subterranean chambers at the site to a staggering 20. It's like finding new rooms in a palace that's been standing for millennia. This discovery is a massive deal for archaeologists and historians. Why? Because each new tomb is a time capsule, a direct link to the beliefs, rituals, and social structures of Sardinia's ancient inhabitants. The Sant'Andrea Priu site is particularly special. It's one of the most significant complexes of its kind in the Mediterranean, with some of its main tombs later reused and repainted during the Roman and Byzantine eras, creating a multi-layered tapestry of history. Finding untouched or lesser-known tombs like these gives us a cleaner, more direct glimpse into the original Neolithic culture that created them. Let's talk about the people who built these. We're looking at the Ozieri culture, which flourished in Sardinia between about 3200 and 2800 BCE. These weren't primitive cave dwellers. They were sophisticated people with a rich spiritual life. They carved these intricate, multi-chambered tombs into the rock to resemble their own homes, believing them to be eternal dwellings for the afterlife. The term fairy house comes from local folklore, which imagined these small, mysterious openings in the rock were gateways to the world of magical beings. The truth, as is often the case, is even more compelling. The 3 new tombs were found thanks to a project aimed at surveying and protecting the entire archaeological park. It involved clearing away dense vegetation that had hidden these entrances for centuries, maybe even millennia. Tomb 48 is a small, single-chamber tomb, but its discovery is still significant as it adds another piece to the puzzle. Tomb 19 is more complex, with a small antechamber and a larger main chamber. It even has a carved trough on the floor, the purpose of which is still being debated by experts. Could it have been for offerings, or part of a ritual we can only guess at? But the most intriguing of the 3 is Tomb XX. It is a multi-chambered tomb that shows evidence of architectural details meant to mimic the wooden-framed houses of the living. You can see carved pilasters and other features that give us a rare look at what their actual homes might have looked like. It's this attention to detail that tells us so much about their worldview. For the Ozieri people, the barrier between the world of the living and the realm of the dead was porous, and they invested immense effort into ensuring their ancestors had a comfortable and familiar place to rest for eternity. This project wasn't just about digging, it was a high-tech operation. The team used technologies like 3D photogrammetric surveys to create detailed digital models of the tombs. This allows researchers from all over the world to study the site without causing any damage. It also helps in planning for the conservation and eventual presentation of these tombs to the public. Imagine being able to take a virtual tour of a Neolithic tomb, exploring every nook and cranny just as the archaeologists did. This is the future of heritage preservation. The discovery also highlights the importance of the Meilogu region, where Sant'Andrea Priu is located. This area was a major hub during the Neolithic and Chalcolithic periods. The sheer number and complexity of the tombs here suggest it was a central place for a large and organized community. These weren't just isolated family tombs. They were part of a vast, communal necropolis, a true city of the dead that mirrored the city of the living. Each new find reinforces the idea that prehistoric Sardinian society was far more advanced and interconnected than previously thought. Think about the skill and dedication it took. Using only stone tools, these ancient people carved out entire multi-room structures from solid rock. They shaped walls, ceilings, and even decorative elements to create spaces that were both functional and deeply symbolic. Often you'll find carvings inside these tombs, spirals, bull's horns, and other motifs that were part of their spiritual cosmology. The bull, in particular, was a powerful symbol of fertility and strength, a divine figure that guarded the dead and ensured the continuation of life. So what happens next? The research is far from over. The team will continue to study the architecture, any potential artifacts found within, and the relationship between these new tombs and the others at the site. Every carving, every tool mark, and every fragment of pottery can tell a story. This information will help build a more complete picture of life and death in Neolithic Sardinia. It helps us understand how these societies were organized, what they believed in, and how they honored their ancestors. Discoveries like this are a powerful reminder that history is not a closed book. There are still so many secrets buried right beneath our feet, waiting for the right moment and the right people to be revealed. The story of Sant'Andrea Priu is still being written, and these 3 new fairy houses are a thrilling new chapter. They connect us to a distant past, allowing us to feel a sense of wonder and a shared humanity with the people who carved these incredible monuments thousands of years ago. Today, we're journeying deep into the heart of Australia, to a place where the past isn't just buried, it's literally written on the walls. Imagine stepping into a cave, far from the reach of sunlight, where the only light is the one you carry. As you shine your torch, the walls don't just absorb the light, they throw it back at you, glittering and sparkling like a field of diamonds. This isn't a fantasy scene. This is the reality inside a limestone cave known as New Guinea 2, or as the Gunai Kurnai people call it, Warribrook. And it's here that researchers have just made a breathtaking discovery that connects us directly to ancestors from millennia ago. Deep within this sacred place, archaeologists have found something extraordinary. Ancient finger marks, grooves intentionally traced into the soft, crystalline surface of the cave walls. These aren't just random scratches or marks left by animals. These are what's known as finger flutings, the deliberate, expressive gestures of people who lived thousands of years ago. We're talking about over 950 distinct grooves, a complex tapestry of human touch preserved in stone. Some run straight across, others sweep down diagonally, and some stretch vertically. Each one is a silent story, a physical echo of a moment in time. What makes this discovery so profound is what it tells us about the people who made these marks. The cave walls are coated in a layer of soft limestone and tiny calcite crystals. This unique canvas meant that when someone pressed their fingers into the surface and dragged them along, they left a lasting impression. The researchers who have been meticulously studying these grooves believe this wasn't just idle doodling. This was a significant cultural practice, a ritual steeped in knowledge, memory, and profound spirituality. This wasn't just a physical act, it was a conversation with the cave itself. Let's put ourselves in their shoes for a moment. You're navigating a dark, complex cave system. The air is cool and still. The only sound is your own movement. You reach a chamber where the walls shimmer with a life of their own. What would compel you to reach out and trace your fingers across this surface? The patterns found at Warribrook are incredibly diverse. In some areas, the flutings are simple, parallel lines. In others, they form complex, overlapping patterns that look almost like a form of writing or symbolic art. Archaeologists have identified marks made by single fingers, multiple fingers held together, and even the hands of children. That's right, children. Some of the grooves are so small and narrow that they could only have been made by the tiny fingers of a young child. This suggests that these rituals weren't just for adults or initiated elders. It was a community activity, a way for knowledge and tradition to be passed down through generations. Imagine a parent or an elder guiding a child's hand across the sparkling wall, teaching them the patterns, the stories, and the significance of this sacred place. It's an incredibly intimate and powerful image, connecting families across thousands of years. This wasn't just about making art, it was about embedding culture and identity into the very rock of the land. The location of these finger flutings is also key. They are found deep within the cave, in what's called the dark zone, a place where natural light has never reached. This tells us that people were intentionally venturing far into the earth, carrying torches made of bundled bark or resin to light their way. The journey itself would have been part of the ritual, entering the darkness, leaving the familiar world behind, and moving into a sacred subterranean realm. The glittering calcite on the walls would have danced and flickered in the torchlight, creating a mesmerizing, otherworldly atmosphere. In this space, the act of tracing fingers on the wall becomes a deeply spiritual experience, a way of connecting with the ancestral spirits believed to inhabit such powerful places. For the Gunai people, the traditional custodians of this land, Warribruk is a place of immense cultural and spiritual importance. This discovery is not just an archaeological finding, it's a validation and a powerful affirmation of their deep, unbroken connection to their country. These finger grooves are tangible proof of their ancestors' presence, their ceremonies and their beliefs. They are a direct link to a lineage of knowledge that has been passed down orally for countless generations. The researchers have been working in close collaboration with the Gunai Land and Waters Aboriginal Corporation, ensuring that this sacred site is studied with the respect and cultural sensitivity it deserves. This partnership is crucial as it blends ancient traditional knowledge with modern scientific methods to paint a much fuller picture of the past. Now, you might be wondering, how old are these marks? Dating cave art is notoriously tricky, but based on the geological context and comparison with other similar sites in Australia and around the world, these flutings are believed to be thousands, if not tens of thousands, of years old. Finger flutings are one of the oldest known forms of human artistic expression, found in caves from Europe to here in Australia. However, the Warribruk site is special because of the sheer density of the markings and the unique, glittering surface they are made on. This wasn't a fleeting activity. It was a place people returned to again and again over a long period to add their own touch to this collective ancestral canvas. Think about what this means. These aren't just lines in a cave, they are the ghosts of gestures. We can almost see the hands that made them, the pressure of the fingertips, the sweep of the arm, the deliberate movement of a body in a sacred space. Each groove is a signature of an individual, a person who lived, breathed, and felt, just as we do. Through these traces, we are connecting with them in a deeply personal way. We are seeing not just an artifact, but the evidence of an action, a performance, a moment of human expression frozen in time. It's a powerful reminder that the people of the past were not simple or primitive. They had rich, complex spiritual lives, and they used their environment to express it in beautiful and enduring ways. This discovery at Warribruk challenges us to think differently about what constitutes art and communication. In a world before written language as we know it, people used symbols, gestures, and rituals to record their stories, their laws, and their connection to the cosmos. These glittering walls served as a sacred book, written not with ink, but with human hands. Each line is a sentence, each panel a chapter in a story that is still unfolding. And for the Gunai people, it's a story that they are still a part of. The cave is not just a relic of the past, it is a living, breathing cultural landscape. The ongoing research will hopefully reveal even more secrets. Scientists are using advanced imaging techniques to map the grooves in 3 dimensions, which can help them understand the sequence in which they were made and even identify the gestures used. By analyzing the patterns, they might be able to decipher if they represent maps, astronomical observations, or stories of creation and ancestry. It's a complex puzzle, but each piece brings us closer to understanding the minds and the world of these ancient Australians. It's a testament to the enduring power of human culture and the deep spiritual connection that First Nations people have with their land, a connection that is literally etched in stone. What an incredible story, right? It really makes you think about the traces we leave behind and the stories they might tell thousands of years from now. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the glittering depths of Warrybrook Cave. I hope you found it as fascinating as I did. Upbeat, mysterious music starts and fades into the background. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're embarking on a journey back in time, on a quest to uncover the truth behind one of history's greatest enigmas, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Was it a breathtaking reality or just a beautiful legend? Let's dig in. For centuries, the story has captivated us. A magnificent multi-tiered garden, an oasis of lush greenery rising from the barren Mesopotamian desert. It's an image so powerful, it was named one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But here's the catch. Of all the 7 wonders, it's the only one we've never found any definitive archaeological evidence for. No ruins, no foundations, nothing. The story most of us know comes from Greek and Roman writers like Strabo and Diodorus Siculus. They wrote about it centuries after it supposedly existed, describing a paradise built by the great king Nebuchadnezzar II around 600 BC. The tale goes that he built it for his wife, Amytis, who hailed from the green, mountainous land of Media. She missed the rolling hills and lush vegetation of her homeland, so her devoted husband, the king, decided to bring the mountains to her, right in the heart of flat, dusty Babylon. According to these ancient accounts, the gardens were an engineering marvel, a series of ascending terraces, almost like a man-made mountain, filled with soil deep enough to support large trees. Exotic plants and flowers from all over the known world cascaded down the walls, creating a vibrant spectacle of color and life. Water, a precious resource in the desert, was ingeniously pumped up from the nearby Euphrates River to the highest terrace, flowing down through a complex irrigation system to nourish the entire structure. Imagine the sight. A green pyramid shimmering in the brutal Babylonian sun, a testament to a king's love and the incredible power of his empire. It's a romantic, incredible story. But as romantic as it is, it's also riddled with problems. The biggest issue? Babylonian records are completely silent on the matter. We have countless cuneiform tablets from Nebuchadnezzar's reign. They detail his military campaigns, his construction of city walls, temples, and palaces. He was a meticulous record keeper, proud of his architectural achievements. So why is there not a single mention of his most wondrous creation, the one that would make him famous for millennia? It's a glaring omission, like a modern CEO forgetting to mention building the world's tallest skyscraper. This silence from the Babylonians themselves is the first major red flag. Furthermore, archaeologists have excavated the site of ancient Babylon extensively. They found the foundations of Nebuchadnezzar's palace, the famous Ishtar Gate, and the ziggurat that might have inspired the Tower of Babel story. But the Hanging Gardens? Nowhere to be found. Some have proposed theories about where they might have been, perhaps near the palace or by the river, but no dig has ever turned up conclusive proof. It's a ghost. This has led many historians to believe the gardens were simply a myth, a work of fiction created by Greek writers who were fascinated by the exotic and opulent East. They might have combined stories of different Mesopotamian gardens and palaces into one fantastical legend. It's a plausible theory. But what if the story isn't entirely a myth? What if we've just been looking in the wrong place all along? This is where the work of Dr. Stephanie Daly, an Assyriologist from Oxford University, comes in, and her theory is a genuine game changer. She spent over 2 decades meticulously re-examining ancient texts and reliefs, not just from Babylon, but from its rival empire, Assyria. Her surprising conclusion: the Hanging Gardens were real, they just weren't in Babylon. Dr. Daly argues that the gardens were actually built in the Assyrian capital of Nineveh, about 300 miles north of Babylon, by the formidable Assyrian king Sennacherib. This would have been about a century before Nebuchadnezzar's reign. So, why the mix-up? It seems to boil down to a simple case of mistaken identity and geographical confusion. After the Assyrians conquered Babylon, they sometimes referred to their own capital, Nineveh, as the New Babylon. This could have easily caused later Greek historians, who were writing from second-hand accounts, to conflate the two cities. But Dr. Daly's evidence goes far beyond just a name mix-up. She points to detailed inscriptions from Sennacherib's reign, where he boasts about constructing an unparalleled palace and a wonder for all peoples. He describes creating a vast park, a botanical garden filled with aromatic plants and fruit trees from across his empire. Most importantly, he talks about his incredible feats of engineering to bring water to the city. One of Sennacherib's most remarkable achievements was a massive aqueduct system stretching over 50 miles through the mountains to channel water into Nineveh. Parts of this incredible structure still stand today. On a relief panel from his palace, Sennacherib even inscribed, "I, Sennacherib." Over a great distance, I had a watercourse directed to the environs of Nineveh. I caused a canal to be cut to the plain of Mesopotamia. This solves one of the biggest mysteries of the Babylonian garden, the water source. Pumping massive amounts of water up from the Euphrates would have been an immense, continuous challenge. But a gravity-fed aqueduct from the mountains? That's a far more sustainable and technologically brilliant solution that fits the Assyrian engineering prowess perfectly. Even more compelling, palace reliefs discovered at Nineveh depict exactly what you'd expect: a beautiful terraced garden situated on a mound next to a palace. The carvings show trees growing on a roofed colonnade with water flowing through channels. It looks suspiciously like the descriptions of the Hanging Gardens. One relief even shows an archway and aqueduct system that matches Sennacherib's own descriptions of his building projects. The visual evidence seems to align perfectly with the texts. Dr. Daly also presents a technological argument. Sennacherib describes using a new method for raising water, employing what she interprets as a version of the Archimedes screw, a device thought to have been invented centuries later by the Greek mathematician Archimedes. If true, this would have been a revolutionary piece of technology, capable of lifting water efficiently to the garden's highest levels, and something a king would definitely brag about in his inscriptions, which he did. So if the gardens were in Nineveh, built by Sennacherib, how did Nebuchadnezzar get all the credit? He was the conqueror of Jerusalem, the larger-than-life figure. The story of a wonder in Babylon, built by the great king of Babylon, was just a simpler, more memorable tale to pass down. It doesn't dismiss the gardens as pure fantasy, but instead relocates them, giving credit to a different king and a different city. It transforms the legend from a romantic fable into a tangible story of Assyrian ambition and engineering genius. Of course, not all historians are convinced. The traditional narrative is deeply ingrained. But Dr. Daly's work has forced everyone to look at the evidence in a new light. The quest for the Hanging Gardens of Babylon highlights how history is a living, breathing field of study. So what do you think? Were the Hanging Gardens a beautiful myth born from the imagination of Greek writers? Or were they a real, spectacular creation of the Assyrian king Sennacherib in Nineveh, their true location lost to history through a simple case of mistaken identity? Perhaps the truth is that the Hanging Garden of Babylon, as we know it, is a composite, a real wonder from Nineveh wrapped in the fame and mystique of Babylon. The search for definitive proof continues, but one thing is certain. The story of the Hanging Gardens, whether in Babylon or Nineveh, continues to inspire awe and wonder, reminding us of the incredible heights of ingenuity and artistry reached by these ancient civilizations. Today, we're diving into a story that feels like it's straight out of a historical epic, complete with kings, warriors, and a genetic twist that could rewrite a nation's origin story. We're talking about Poland, a country with a rich and proud history. For centuries, the story of its founding has been tied to the legendary Piast dynasty. But what if the very roots of this iconic Polish family tree were planted in a land far, far away? Get ready, because we're about to explore a groundbreaking discovery that suggests Poland's first kings might not have been Slavic chieftains, but could have had origins in ancient Scotland. For hundreds of years, the tale of the Piast dynasty has been central to Polish identity. They were the first rulers, the ones who united the tribes and laid the foundations of the Polish state way back in the 10th century. Traditional stories, like the one about Piast the Wheelwright, a humble but noble figure, painted them as locals, rising from the Slavic soil to lead their people. It's a powerful founding myth, a story of homegrown strength and destiny. Historians, however, have long debated this. The historical records from that early period are sparse, leaving a lot of room for questions. Were the Piasts really local Slavic leaders who rose to prominence, or did they come from somewhere else? Over the decades, scholars have proposed various theories. Some suggested they were Moravian nobles fleeing political turmoil. Others, noticing the warrior culture of the time, floated the idea that they might have been Vikings, part of the wave of Norsemen who explored and settled across Europe. For a long time, these were just educated guesses, fascinating but unprovable. There was simply no definitive evidence. Until now. Enter the world of modern science. A team of researchers in Poland, led by the brilliant molecular biologist Professor Marek Figlerowicz from the Poznan University of Technology, decided to tackle this ancient mystery head-on. Their plan was ambitious: to sequence the DNA from the remains of the Piast royals themselves. This wasn't a simple task. They had to locate and gain access to ancient graves, some over 1,000 years old, scattered across cathedrals and tombs in Poland. The team carefully extracted genetic material from the bones and teeth of over 30 members of the Piast dynasty. Imagine the delicate work involved, handling these incredibly precious historical artifacts, knowing that the secrets of a nation's founding might be locked inside. Their goal was to trace the male lineage, the Y chromosome, which is passed down from father to son, creating an unbroken genetic chain through the generations. By analyzing this specific part of the DNA, they could build a genetic profile for the Piast dynasty and compare it to other populations across Europe. The process was like a high-tech episode of a forensic investigation show. The scientists had to contend with DNA that was heavily degraded after centuries of being buried. They used cutting-edge techniques to piece together the fragments and reconstruct the genetic code. As the data started coming in, they were able to confirm that all the male remains they tested did indeed belong to the same family line. This was a huge success in itself, proving the power of their methods. But then came the bombshell. When they analyzed the specific genetic markers on the Piast Y chromosome, they found something completely unexpected. The genetic profile didn't match the typical patterns found in the Slavic populations of Eastern Europe. It wasn't a close match for Viking DNA from Scandinavia either. Instead, the closest genetic relatives to Poland's founding fathers were found hundreds of miles to the west, in a place no one had seriously considered. The DNA pointed directly to the British Isles, and more specifically, to ancient Scotland. The Piast genetic signature showed a strong link to the Picts, the mysterious and fierce tribes who inhabited Scotland during the Roman era and the early Middle Ages. The Picts were known for their distinctive carved stones and for fiercely resisting Roman and Anglo-Saxon invasions. They eventually merged with the Gaels to form the Kingdom of Scotland, but their unique genetic legacy can still be found in some people of Scottish descent today. And now it appears that same legacy has been found at the very heart of Poland's first royal family. This is a monumental discovery. The very idea that the dynasty that defined early Poland, the family seen as the ultimate symbol of Slavic identity, might have descended from Scottish warriors, is mind-boggling. It challenges everything that has been taught in Polish history books for generations. So how on earth could this have happened? How could a Pictish or Scottish lineage end up on the Polish throne in the 10th century? This is where historical context becomes crucial. The early Middle Ages, from the 8th to the 11th centuries, was a period of immense migration, trade, and conflict across Europe. We often think of the Vikings raiding west, but the entire continent was a dynamic and interconnected place. People moved around a lot more than we often assume. It's plausible that a group of warriors, mercenaries, or even exiled nobles from the region of Scotland traveled east. They could have been seeking fortune, fleeing conflict back home, or been part of the vast network of trade routes that crisscrossed the continent. These men, with their military skills, could have easily integrated into local Slavic society, perhaps serving a local chieftain. Through their prowess in battle and strategic marriages, it's conceivable that one of them, or a descendant, rose through the ranks to become a powerful leader, eventually uniting the tribes and founding a new dynasty. This individual would have become the patriarch of the Piast family. This Scottish connection isn't as far-fetched as it might first sound. We know there were connections between the Baltic Sea region and the British Isles during this time, primarily through Viking trade and raiding routes. A group from Scotland could have traveled with Norse fleets or made their own way eastward. Think about it. A band of skilled foreign warriors arriving in a politically fragmented region could have been seen as valuable allies. They might have been hired as bodyguards or elite troops, eventually seizing power for themselves. This is a pattern we see in other parts of Europe during the same period, like the Norman conquest of England or the Varangian Rus in Kiev. The local population might not have even known or cared about their foreign origins, especially after a generation or two. What mattered was their ability to lead, to protect, and to bring stability. Over time, as the dynasty solidified its rule and embraced the local culture and language, their foreign origins would have been forgotten, replaced by homegrown legends like that of Piers the Wheelwright. The implications of this discovery are profound, especially for Poland. It forces a re-evaluation of national identity and the very concept of a pure Slavic origin. It shows that the foundations of the Polish state were likely more multicultural and dynamic than the traditional myths suggest. This doesn't diminish Polish history. In fact, it makes it even more fascinating. It paints a picture of early Poland as a cosmopolitan crossroads, a place where people from different corners of Europe could meet, interact, and build something new together. It highlights that nations and identities are not static, but are constantly evolving, shaped by migration and cultural exchange. Professor Figlerowicz and his team have stressed that this finding is about the paternal lineage of one specific family, the ruling elite. It doesn't mean that the general Polish population has Scottish roots. The vast majority of Polish people are, and always have been, genetically Slavic. But it does mean that their first royal family, the ones who set the nation on its course, may have brought a very different genetic heritage to the throne. This is a story that is still unfolding. The scientific paper has been submitted and is undergoing peer review, the process where other experts in the field scrutinize the methods and conclusions. But the initial findings are incredibly compelling. It is a powerful example of how science can unlock secrets hidden for 1,000 years and force us to look at the past with fresh eyes. It reminds us that history is not just a collection of dusty old stories, but a living, breathing field of inquiry where new discoveries can change everything we thought we knew. The legend of Piast the wheelwright is a beautiful and important part of Polish culture, but the true story, a tale of long-distance migration and genetic surprises, might be even more extraordinary. What do you think about this? Does this change how you see the history of Poland and early Europe? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Picture this: medieval London, 1337. The city is a maze of muddy lanes, towering cathedrals, and shadowy alleys. It's a world far removed from our own, but one where human emotions like jealousy, betrayal, and revenge burn just as brightly. Today, we're diving into a real-life cold case that's nearly 700 years old. A story of a noble woman, a priest, and a murder so shocking it was recorded for posterity. Thanks to the incredible work of Cambridge criminologist Professor Manuel Eisner and the Medieval Murder Maps project, the chilling details of this forgotten crime have been brought back to life. This isn't just a history lesson. It's a true crime story that exposes the dark underbelly of high society in the 14th century. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's travel back in time to uncover the tale of John Ford and the vengeful lady who sealed his fate. Our story begins on a cold February morning. John Ford, a respected priest, is making his way through the bustling streets of London. He's a man of the cloth, a figure who should command respect and safety. But on this day, his holy orders will offer him no protection. As he walks along Cheapside, one of London's main thoroughfares, he is ambushed. A group of men, armed and determined, attack him in broad daylight. The assault is brutal and swift. Ford is left bleeding in the street, his life slipping away. Now, you might think this was just another random act of violence in a notoriously rough city, but the truth is far more complex and far more personal. The order to kill John Ford didn't come from a common thief or a street gang. It came from the very top of the social ladder, from a woman scorned, Lady Beatrice de Folkeingham. So who was Lady Beatrice, and why would a noble woman want a priest dead? To understand her motives, we need to look at the tangled web of relationships that connected them. Lady Beatrice was a woman of wealth and status, but she was also trapped in a deeply unhappy marriage to Sir John de Folkeingham. Their union was, to put it mildly, a disaster. Court records from the time paint a picture of a volatile relationship filled with conflict. It was so bad that they had legally separated, a rare and scandalous event for the 14th century. During this separation, Beatrice began a relationship with another man, Sir John de Dalton. This is where our victim, John Ford the priest, enters the picture. He wasn't just a random clergyman, he was a close associate of Beatrice's lover, Sir John de Dalton. In fact, he was Dalton's chaplain. The three of them, Beatrice, her lover Dalton, and his chaplain Ford, formed a tight-knit circle. They relied on each other, navigating the treacherous social landscape of medieval London together. But this alliance was built on a fragile foundation. The turning point came when Sir John de Dalton, perhaps seeking to advance his own position or simply tiring of the arrangement, decided to reconcile with Beatrice's estranged husband. He betrayed Beatrice, switching his allegiance back to the man she despised. And who was right there in the middle of this betrayal? John Ford. He wasn't just a passive observer, he actively helped broker the reconciliation between Dalton and Beatrice's husband. To Lady Beatrice, this was the ultimate act of treachery. The man she had trusted, the chaplain of her lover, had sided with her enemy. Her world was turned upside down, and her sense of betrayal festered into a burning desire for revenge. In the mind of Lady Beatrice, John Ford was no longer a man of God. He was a traitor, a snake who had facilitated the collapse of her hopes for a new life with Dalton. She felt utterly alone and powerless, her lover gone, and her hated husband back in the picture. And so, she decided to take matters into her own hands. She couldn't directly attack her powerful husband or her former lover, but she could strike at the man who made their reconciliation possible. She targeted John Ford. This wasn't a crime of passion committed in a moment of rage. It was a calculated act of vengeance. Beatrice, using her wealth and influence, hired a group of men to carry out her deadly plan. She gave the order, and her hired assassins executed it with chilling efficiency right in the heart of London. The investigation that followed the murder is a fascinating glimpse into medieval justice. The king's coroner, responsible for investigating violent deaths, quickly pieced together the sequence of events. Eyewitnesses from the busy street came forward, and the trail soon led back to Lady Beatrice. The evidence was compelling. She was identified as the mastermind behind the assassination. What happened next is perhaps the most astonishing part of the story. You would expect a noble woman accused of murder to face the harshest of punishments, but Beatrice de Folkestone was no ordinary criminal. She had connections, power, and a deep-seated defiance of authority. When the law came for her, she didn't surrender. Instead, she fled. Beatrice took refuge in a place where the king's law held little power. The sprawling, chaotic sanctuary of the Bishop of Durham's London residence, just off Fleet Street. Sanctuaries in medieval England were sacred places, often churches or monastic grounds where fugitives could claim protection from arrest. By entering this legal grey zone, Beatrice was essentially thumbing her nose at the royal courts. For weeks, she remained holed up, a noble fugitive protected by the church, while the wheels of justice ground to a halt outside. Her defiance was a bold statement. It showed the immense power that status and connections could wield, allowing the wealthy to literally place themselves above the law. The king's officials were powerless to drag her out. Ultimately, however, not even a powerful noblewoman could hide forever. The pressure mounted, and eventually, a deal was struck. While the exact details are lost to time, we know that Beatrice de Folkestone was never brought to trial for the murder of John Ford. It's likely that a significant payment was made. A pardon was essentially purchased to make the problem go away. Her hired killers were captured and faced justice, but the woman who ordered the hit walked free. This outcome tells us so much about the 14th century world. Justice was not blind. It was heavily skewed in favor of the rich and powerful. A commoner would have been swiftly tried and executed for such a crime. But Lady Beatrice, through her wealth and audacity, managed to escape the consequences of her actions. The murder of John Ford is just one of hundreds of cases documented by the Medieval Murder Maps project. This project, led by Professor Eisner, is digitally mapping homicides in medieval London, York, and Oxford, using coroner's rolls from the 14th century. These records are like a time capsule, providing raw, unfiltered accounts of life and death. They show us that violence was a part of the everyday fabric of society. The maps reveal murder hotspots, the types of weapons used, mostly knives and staffs, and the times of day when violence was most likely to erupt, which was often on Sundays and during evenings when people were drinking. But more than just statistics, these records give us stories. They give us names, places, and motives. They transform anonymous victims into real people and shed light on the social tensions of the era. They show us a world where honor was defended with blades, disputes were settled in the streets, and sometimes a vengeful noblewoman could order a murder and get away with it. This incredible research allows us to walk the streets of medieval London and see the city not as a static historical backdrop, but as a living, breathing, and often dangerous place. Have you ever heard of a cemetery in the middle of a desert where people were buried in boats? It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but it's a real place, and it's revealing secrets of a long-lost Bronze Age civilization. Today, we're journeying deep into the Taklamakan Desert in Xinjiang, China, to uncover the mysteries of the Xiaohe culture. Picture this, a vast, sandy landscape, one of the driest places on Earth. And rising from the dunes is a massive sand mound, over 7 meters high, dotted with what looked like a forest of petrified poles. These aren't trees, they're grave markers. This is the Xiaohe Cemetery, a place that has puzzled archaeologists since its rediscovery in the early 20th century. For nearly 4,000 years, it held its secrets, preserving not just bones but also textiles, plants, and even human remains so perfectly that they've been nicknamed the Tarim mummies. What makes Xiaohe truly extraordinary are its burials. The deceased weren't placed in simple pits in the ground. Instead, they were laid to rest inside boat-shaped coffins. Imagine a boat in a sea of sand. These coffins were then covered with cattle hides, and around them tall wooden posts were erected, some shaped like oars. It's an incredibly elaborate and symbolic ritual, especially for a culture living so far from any major body of water. The big question has always been, why boats? What did this mean to the Xiaohe people? A new study led by archaeologist Dr. Gino Caspari is finally shedding light on this enigma. By analyzing satellite imagery and historical records, the research team has pieced together a fascinating picture of the environment during the Bronze Age. It turns out the Tarim Basin wasn't always the arid wasteland we see today. Thousands of years ago, a network of rivers flowed through this region, creating a vibrant green oasis teeming with life. The Xiaohe people lived along these waterways, and the rivers were their lifeline, for transport, for food, and for their very survival. So the boats weren't just a random choice, they were central to the Xiaohe way of life. Dr. Caspari's research suggests that these boat coffins were part of a profound belief system about the afterlife. The Xiaohe people believed that death was not an end, but a journey. Just as they used boats to navigate the rivers of the living world, they believed the soul needed a vessel to navigate the rivers of the underworld to reach the afterlife. Let's look closer at the burials themselves. Each one is a microcosm of this belief. The deceased is placed inside the boat coffin, ready for their voyage. The cattle hides stretched over the top acted as a protective covering, like the roof of a house or the deck of a ship. The tall, oar-shaped posts weren't just markers, they were symbolic oars, meant to propel the soul on its final journey. Some graves even included miniature wooden masks and figures, perhaps representing companions or guardians for the voyage ahead. And it wasn't just about the journey, it was also about sustenance. The graves are filled with offerings, most notably baskets of ephedra twigs. Ephedra is a plant known for its medicinal and possibly psychoactive properties. The ancient Greeks called it soma, a drink of the gods. It's possible the Xiaohe people believed this plant would provide spiritual nourishment or protection for the deceased in the next world. Another fascinating element is the use of cattle. Dozens of cattle skulls, often painted with red patterns, are found throughout the cemetery. Cattle were a source of wealth and sustenance, providing milk, meat, and hides. By placing them in the cemetery, the Xiaohe people were likely making a powerful offering to their deities, or ensuring their loved ones had a source of eternal nourishment. The entire cemetery was a sacred landscape, a departure point from the world of the living to the realm of the spirits. The preservation at Xiaohe is just mind-blowing. The extremely dry climate and salty soil created a perfect environment for mummification. We have bodies with intact skin, hair, and even eyelashes. The textiles are so well preserved, we can see the intricate weaves and colors. These Tarim mummies, with their European-like features, have sparked intense debate about ancient migration patterns and the interconnectedness of the Bronze Age world. They show us that this remote desert basin was once a crossroads of cultures and ideas. But as the climate began to change, the rivers that sustained the Xiaohe culture started to dry up. The lush oasis slowly transformed into the harsh desert we know today. Around 1400 BCE, after flourishing for over 500 years, the Xiaohe culture vanished. They didn't leave behind any written records, so their story has to be pieced together through these silent, powerful burials. The boat coffins became the final chapter of their civilization, a testament to their deep connection with the water that once gave them life. The symbolism of a water journey into the afterlife isn't unique to Xiaohe. We see similar ideas in many ancient cultures, from the ferryman Charon in Greek mythology, who carried souls across the river Styx, to the solar barks of the Egyptian pharaohs designed to carry them into the eternal afterlife with the sun god Ra. What makes Xiaohe so captivating is seeing this universal human concept expressed so uniquely in the heart of a desert. It's a powerful reminder that our beliefs about life, death, and the great beyond are shaped by the world around us. So the Xiaohe Cemetery is more than just a collection of ancient graves. It's a symbolic landscape, a map of a spiritual journey. Each boat coffin represents a belief in continuity, a hope that the soul's voyage would continue on a cosmic river, even after the earthly ones had turned to sand. It's a story of resilience, of a culture adapting its most profound beliefs to its environment and leaving behind a timeless message in a boat buried in the desert. What do you think about this incredible discovery? The idea of a water journey to the afterlife is so poetic. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me on this archaeological adventure today. Today, we're diving deep into a story that feels like it's straight out of an epic adventure movie. We're traveling to a remote, sacred island off the coast of Japan, a place shrouded in mystery and ancient traditions, to uncover a secret that's been hidden for over 1,600 years. This isn't just any old artifact, it's a discovery that's rewriting what we know about ancient East Asian craftsmanship and ritual. Imagine an ancient spear, not just a weapon of war, but a stunning piece of ceremonial art, decorated in a way no one has ever seen before from that era. Get ready, because we're about to unveil East Asia's very first gold-inlaid spear sheath. So let's set the scene. We're talking about Okinoshima, an island so sacred that for centuries access has been strictly controlled. It is part of the Munakata Taisha shrines in Fukuoka Prefecture and is often called the Island of the Gods. Between the 4th and 9th centuries, this island was a major hub for rituals to pray for the safety of ships navigating the treacherous sea routes between Japan and the Korean peninsula. Over the years, archaeologists have unearthed more than 80,000 artifacts here, a treasure trove of offerings to the gods. But among all these incredible finds, one object excavated decades ago held a secret that only modern technology could reveal. The artifact in question is a ceremonial spear. Now, when you think of an ancient spear, you might picture a simple, functional weapon. But this one is different. It's an iron spearhead, found nestled inside a beautifully crafted gilt bronze sheath. For years it was catalogued and studied, but its true magnificence was hidden beneath centuries of corrosion. It took the keen eyes of researchers and the power of X-ray technology to see what was lying dormant. What they found was absolutely breathtaking. Using advanced CT scans, the team at the Munakata Taisha Shinto Shrines Museum peered inside the sheath. And there it was, an intricate swirling pattern of gold inlaid directly onto the iron spearhead itself. This wasn't just a simple design, it was a masterpiece of zogun, the Japanese art of metal inlay. This technique involves carving a design into a metal base, in this case the iron spear, and then hammering thin threads of a different metal, like gold, into the grooves. It's an incredibly difficult skill, especially on a curved surface, like a spearhead. Now, why is this such a monumental discovery? Because this spear represents the very first known example of gold zogun inlay on a spear from this period in all of East Asia. We've seen similar techniques on swords from the same era, but never on a spear. This tells us that the artisans of the Kofun period, which lasted from the 3rd to the 7th century, were even more skilled and versatile than we previously thought. They weren't just decorating swords, they were creating these ornate, symbolic objects for important rituals. The pattern itself is also significant. The X-rays revealed a flowing, cloud-like design, which is a classic motif in ancient East Asian art, often associated with divinity and the heavens. This reinforces the idea that the spear wasn't meant for battle. Instead, it was a high-status ritual object, likely offered to the gods on Okinoshima to ensure protection and good fortune. This spear was an object of immense prestige, a symbol of power and spiritual connection. This discovery provides a crucial window into the Yamato dynasty, the ruling power in Japan during the late Kofun period. Okinoshima was a key site for state-sponsored rituals, and the offerings found there reflect the wealth and technological prowess of the Yamato court. The fact that they were commissioning such incredibly detailed and luxurious items tells us a lot about their culture and their relationship with the divine. This single spear connects us directly to the ceremonial practices of an ancient dynasty, showing us how they used art and craftsmanship to express their power and faith. What's really exciting is that this spear has only just begun to tell its story. The conservation team is now working on the painstaking process of removing the iron spearhead from its bronze sheath without damaging either part. This process could take years, but once it's complete, we'll be able to see the full gold inlaid design with our own eyes for the first time in over a millennium. Imagine the moment that golden pattern finally sees the light of day again. It's a delicate operation, but the potential reward is a complete, unobscured view of a true masterpiece of ancient Japanese art. This find also raises new questions. Who were the master craftspeople who made this? Where did they learn this advanced inlay technique? Were there other spears like this that have been lost to time? Every new discovery like this doesn't just provide answers. It opens up new avenues of research and deepens our appreciation for the complexity and beauty of ancient cultures. It reminds us that there are still so many secrets buried beneath our feet, just waiting for the right moment and the right technology to be revealed. This spear from Okinoshima is more than just an artifact. It's a testament to human creativity, faith, and the enduring power of art. It's a tangible link to the people who lived, prayed, and created incredible things on that sacred island so long ago. It's a beautiful reminder that history is not just a collection of dates and facts, but a living story that continues to unfold. What do you all think about this incredible discovery? It just blows my mind to think about the level of skill involved. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey back in time, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating history and archaeology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.